How's it going? I'm Ryan. Today, I'm going to go over the three trades I took on MNQ. Took three losses today. Um, Went on a little bit of a tilt in terms of just sizing up into a position that I probably shouldn't have done, doing a little bit of revenge trading. As you can see at the top here, my Apex account has been reset. I was about $1,000 above my account liquidation, or like my failing of the account challenge. I blew that today and got liquidated. My account failed, so reset it. We're gonna approach it with a new perspective. Last Thursday, Friday, and this Monday, I took off. I was gone for a wedding, so I was out of town. Came back today we had a nice downtrending day. Funny enough, two of my trades I took were shorts that ended up being losers. We'll get into those in just a second. So, not necessarily that I was trading against the trend. I just kind of got psyched out in a few areas and sized up when I shouldn't have. So that was really it. Nothing too crazy. We'll get into that. The biggest issue was sizing up. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at what we were watching coming into the day. So we have yesterday's high and low marked by these green and red levels here and here. We had some zones that we were watching based on the daily time frame. And then basically what I was looking is that in the morning, after hours, pre-market, we were looking like we were slowly grinding our way up. And to the upside, I wanted to see us clear yesterday's high, because I also kind of coincided with last Thursday's high. So breaking that level, and then I had a zone here as well that was drawn prior to these. So overall, just a strong area to watch around like that 380. I wanted to see us break above that for continuation to the upside. That was my thesis for a long position. To the downside was kind of a break of this support in here, more easily seen on the 1 hour charts. Let's switch it over. And this is kind of that yesterday low. You can see how many wicks we have in this area, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here. So looking for upside if we break over the top of that range, looking for downside if we broke to the bottom of that range. Those were basically the main plays coming into the day. So let's get into it. We opened up the day, like I said, after hours. You can see this is last night. Throughout the pre-market, we were just slowly grinding our way up, holding that 20 EMA, getting some bounces off of it. I wanted to give a little bit of time in the morning to see how things were going to play out. Like I said, I wanted to see us get above yesterday's high for that long scenario. We did not get that. Instead, we got a very aggressive, what I'll say is that we were grinding our way up, but it wasn't super convincing, right? You see, like almost each move up we make a move back down. So make a move up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And it was just very kind of slow. It didn't look like a lot of volume. You can see that volume's pretty low in here, right? As we're making new highs on the day, we're not really getting a lot of volume and a lot of follow through on that. And each time we kind of push a little higher, we pull right back down. So even though we were holding that 20 MA, this wasn't really convincing me too much to the upside. We had this little like hanging man print, and then we fell right through, rejected off that 20 EMA to the downside, came down to this level of support pretty much yesterday's close, and we started to bounce around a little bit, still rejecting off that 20 EMA. So kind of the opposite of what we're seeing here. We're holding as support here, we're seeing as resistance, and then we make new lows on the day. Not quite down to that after hour low, but continuously selling off. At this point, it looks like the market trend is down, right? We're overall weak. What I wanted to see was a retest of like this EMA and this zone here once we broke through it. So I was watching this zone as a support area. Once we broke through that with these two massive bearish candles, I wanted to see us pull back up and get the retest for continuation to the downside. That was my first trade. So my first trade, I entered here after we tested and closed below the EMA. So we came up, we pushed up, we tested that EMA, closed pretty much right at it. This is also that previous low day. You see we have 4 consecutive candles forming a little bit of a base here. We broke it, like I said, with the bearish engulfing candles, came up to retest both that previous low and that EMA. I like that setup. So I took 5 contracts short here, and my stop was above these wicks here, is about a 15-point stop. We pushed up and stopped me out. So that was my first loss of the day. It was about $160 loss right off the bat. You know, we did have this strong move up into this area. I thought, however, that, you know, momentum was bearish. I like to retest the previous low in that EMA. So I was willing to take that. We're seeing a lot of volatility come through here. Look at this. Markets, you know, it's 2 p.m. So that's 4 p.m. on the East Coast. It's just closing. We're seeing a big sell-off. Honestly, the break and retest of the zone is not too terrible. Anyways, took that and got stopped out. We pushed up. We came back down. We sold right back down. And when we came up and retested again, I took another entry. So I took 10 contracts this time. I took some off. I took 5 off when we came and retested the swing low. So I entered up in here once we failed this EMA again. Like I said, we're still forming a series of lower lows and lower highs, right? So we have this lower low, we have this lower high. We came down and kind of formed a little higher low, but once we rejected that EMA, I took 10 positions. So this is what I'm talking about, sizing up. I did trim 5 at this. So when we came down here, I trimmed 5 and got some off the table, but the other 5 were stopped out up here at the top of this zone. I tried to give it a little bit more wiggle room, especially after seeing this candle print here, looking pretty bearish. When we came up and retested, I was holding on a little bit, giving it a little bit of room, seeing if we wouldn't reject, especially after seeing, you know, us break back above that EMA and then pull back. I figured, you know, this would be a lower high and that would still be valid. But then we pushed up higher and I took the remaining 5 contracts off for a loss. So that was an overall loss as well for like 120 or so, because I did secure some profit when we moved down. Luckily I took half the position off here, so it wasn't as big of a loss. At this point, I kind of went on a little bit of a tilt, and this was the worst trade of them all. I took 10 contracts when we started pulling back into the EMA, because we broke. I thought that, you know, we broke above this swing high, although looking back, right, we don't get a close above that swing high. We get some wicks above it, but this candle and this candle are pretty similar. They both kind of signal a bit of weakness at that same area, and we got that same rejection. So I tried to go long in here with 10 contracts. I think I added another 5 around the EMA. So I had like 15 total contracts. When we swept down to this low, I got stopped out, and that was it for me on the day. So like I said, just sized up too much on this trade and this trade. You know, if I just took 5 and took, you know, a few off here, and then I would have had a very small, you know, I could have put stop loss at break even. Could have managed my risk a lot better. First trade, I'm not mad at, right? I had a clear defined risk. I had a clear defined target. I was trying to take that back down to the low of the day for the first trim and then let that run for continuation. I had, you know, a clear, you know, about a 15-point stop loss. I was going for, you know, that would have been about 30, 40 points on the first trim. So maybe a little bit greedy in terms of what I was looking for on that. But with the overall market selling off, I thought that we could get, you know, that move and hold maybe 1 contract or 2 contracts for a larger move to the downside. 15 points for a 40-point, you know, first trim is a risk to reward that I'm happy to make. I followed my stop loss. I didn't size up. So the first trade I'm not mad about. Second trade, shouldn't have sized up. I sized up because I was trying to make up for this loss here. And I thought, okay, we made that lower high. We're going to get to sell off now. Didn't perform that well in terms of risk management by letting that run a little bit further than I wanted, or after trimming half my position, which was a nice move. You know, from I entered around, you know, 212, stopped or took a first trim about 93, so about 10 points, or excuse me, 20 points. So that's normally where I want to trim. I aim for about 20 points for that first trim generally. So that was pretty solid. I should have put the remaining runners to break even at that point, which would have, you know, reduced risk a little bit, but I didn't. So that was on me. The third trade was just abysmal. That was the worst trade by far because it was just a revenge trade, right? I got stopped out trying to short both times by it moving to the upside, so I decided to reverse the trade and go long instead, and then it did sell off and bit me that way, and then sizing up. So revenge trading and sizing up there was a bad play. The first trade, not mad. Second trade, I could have exercised a little bit better risk management. Third trade was just bad overall because I had bad risk management. I had bad emotional response to the 2 losses before, and I sized up. So all things considered, that third trade was that was the bulk of the loss because I sized up and held it longer than I should have. It was just a bad trade overall. Looking at this, we have a little bit of a double top. We didn't really close above that swing high. We didn't show a lot of that momentum to the upside to justify longing right here after we started to reject. So it is what it is. It wasn't my best day, but just learn from it and move on. Just understand that I got a little emotional there on my first day back after taking a little break, and that's on me. But yeah, fresh account. We got a brand new freshie, 50K account. We're looking forward to trying to right the wrongs tomorrow. And not that I'm on to try to go for some crazy win. I'm looking for nice plays, looking for confirmation on a higher time frame, looking to keep that sizing respectable, and not try to oversize and hit a home run every single time, but just look for those good plays and hit them consistently. Exercise proper risk management. All those things would be really what I'm hoping to dial in coming into tomorrow. We have FOMC tomorrow, so we might see some craziness. We might see a little bit of low volume before that, because that is in the evening when that information comes out. A lot of talk about interest rate cuts, in September. I think the market has it priced in that there's like a 99% chance we get an interest rate cut in September. We have the FOMC decision for July tomorrow, like I said. So tomorrow might be a little bit of a tricky day. You might see some interesting price action. If that's the case, I want to just try to take it easy, keep perspective in mind, and not start this account off on the wrong foot by doing something silly. That's all I got for you. Thank you for watching. Yeah, not a great day for me today, but it is what it is. We start with a fresh account. We look to move on from that. I stream live every Monday through Friday. I'll be here this week. The next week I am out. Once again, I'll be visiting family for the next week. So this week we're trading every day. Next week I'm out. Following that, should be back to regular schedule. Hope you have a great day. Thank you again for watching. Appreciate you. Peace.